Thank you for calling the Bombas Comfort Line. Bombas make socks, slippers, tees, and underwear made with the highest quality materials. Press 1 for comfort, 2 for style, 3 for donation. You chose style. Bombas has styles for whatever you enjoy. You can run in Bombas, lounge in Bombas, dress them up, dress them down, but always give back in Bombas. Because with every item purchased, another is donated. Bombas, comfort worth calling for. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All back with you guys, and you just keep sending in your questions, your thoughts, your opinions to the show. So I got to keep doing listener mailbag episodes to get back with you guys. So thank you to everybody who sent in a voicemail, sent in a message on the website. We're going to get to these things today. The super long message that I have been talking about for the last few episodes that I haven't had an opportunity to read on the show yet, we're doing it today. We're going to get through that one today, plus everything else that has come in. To all the new members of our Dog Pack community, you guys, we've been getting people signing up lately like crazy. It's awesome. Welcome to the group. We appreciate everybody's support. If you're having any trouble syncing up with the Discord or any questions about how things work in that group, in that community, just send us a message on Patreon and we'll get back with you and we'll help you figure everything out. But if you're in the Discord now and you're having a great time, we love it. So if you're interested in joining that group, before I dive into everything today, jointhedogs.com. I keep telling you guys, go check it out. Join the Dog Pack community. Try it out for a month. Just try it out for a month if you want to. And then if it's not for you, no harm, no foul. But I'm telling you guys, diehard Browns fans in there. And if you enjoy sending in voicemails, sending in messages, and getting feedback on the show, you can get almost instantaneous feedback from us, and you will get instant feedback from everybody else in that group in the Discord. So go check that out at jointhedogs.com. All right. I don't really have any news updates or anything today. I just saw a notification earlier that the Browns have scheduled a head coaching interview with Jesse Minter for Friday. Minter is the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. So that is the next head coaching candidate schedule on the list as far as I know. So that would be the most recent update to the head coaching tracker. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. I'm just bouncing in here real quick today to talk about everything you guys have sent in and all these questions. So let's kick this one off. Here is that long message I've been talking about for a couple weeks now, it feels like. And this is from Zach. All right, so Zach writes in and says, hey, guys, I have some points/counterpoints that I hope can all be discussed on a show soon. Well, here you go, Zach. We're doing it. He says, there is a lot to unpack, but I truly feel like this could generate a lot of discussion and talking points. Okay, so let's hear what he has to say. He said he's been listening for about 4 years to the podcast. We appreciate you staying tuned in to the show here at the Dogs Podcast. So his first point, Zach says, I agree with Andrew Berry getting another year. Josh originally had me convinced to clear house. Drafting and free agent acquisitions have been terrible throughout his tenure, just one good draft. But if you step back and look at the big picture, what have they always told us? All decisions are made together. For example, Kevin Stefanski, Paul DePodesta, and Haslam all have a major say. It was mentioned on the last podcast that a new head coach means Shedeur Sanders has no guarantee to be the starter because the new coach would want his own guy. Case in point right there. Apply that same logic to Kevin Stefanski. If a new head coach would come in and say, I want Mendoza, and Andrew Berry would work to get him, hypothetically speaking, you think Kevin Stefanski wasn't doing the same thing? You think Andrew Berry would take guys without consulting his offensive-minded head coach? Kind of felt like it. I talked about that on the last podcast there, Zach, the other day. We had an offensive-minded head coach, and Andrew Berry completely just devalued the offensive side of the ball. Very interesting dynamic that we had going on in Cleveland. But he continues on here. He says, I feel like I can almost bet that Andrew Berry was like, hey, Kevin, what do you need? Or can you make it work with this guy or that guy? And he was operating based off what his head coach was telling him he could get the job done with. Cough, cough, Dylan Gabriel. Okay, fair point. What about Paul DePodesta? You think he and his analytics couldn't have been overriding 95% of the natural instincts saying to take player A instead of player B? Cough, cough, Dylan Gabriel. Yes, you know what, Zach? I'm going to pause this whole thing right there. I've talked about that, and I do to an extent. I do to an extent think that the analytical approach, because all these teams use analytics, and I've talked about the whole analytics thing before. You got to have analytics. You have to use analytics, but you can't solely use analytics. And the Browns were using analytics as their primary evaluation tool. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you should do that. You need to be able to evaluate football talent without the analytics, and then bring in the analytics to either confirm or deny the evaluation you've come to based on your football knowledge, understanding, and scouting. And I'm talking about AB as talent evaluators, the scouting department, all that stuff. The Browns, from what I understand from Paul DePodesta's history in baseball and his methodology, it is analytics first and foremost over everything. So yes, I do think there was a lot of that going on. So Zach goes on and says, or do you think Haslam wouldn't side with the guy they have on their payroll for a decade and they thought so highly of to bring him into a sport in which he had no previous experience? This is my conclusion. Andrew Berry would have been the scapegoat for Paul DePodesta and Kevin Stefanski if he would have been fired. Andrew Berry's name was on the picks, trades, signings, etc., but pull back the curtain and look behind the scenes at who he was taking guidance from and the coach he was deferring to / trusting in. He didn't even get to choose his own head coach when he came to Cleveland. Give him 1 year without the analytics genie and with a new competent voice in his ear that he has a say in, and let's see what he can do. If he is bad, then I am on board with moving on. Okay. So I appreciate the message. A lot of stuff in there. Overall, your point, Andrew Berry deserves another year to see what he can do. We don't really have we don't have a choice now. That's what they're doing. So we have to. We don't have to be on board with it. But I think if we want to have some hope going into this next season, we can look on the bright side and say, look, most recently, Andrew Berry had a great draft. Had some great free agent signings. He's done some good things. I mean, just bringing in Devin Bush 2 years in a row and then Malik Collins this past season, those are some great free agent signings right there that really helped this team. And then obviously the draft. So what he does with the salary cap, with the contract structuring and everything, those are points in favor of Andrew Berry. I think he does a good job in those areas. It's not all bad. Whenever I said clear house with these guys, it's not because everything they do is bad, in my opinion. I thought Kevin Stefanski, like I've said this a million times, I think he's a good coach. I just don't think he's good enough to have continued success in the NFL unless he's willing to adapt and change his offense, which he was not. So had to go. All right. Again, I said this was the long one. So Zach continues on here. Point 2. He says, the point keeps being made that the head coaching vacancy is not desirable, generally speaking, and the vacancy is so much more appealing to defensive-minded coaches because the defense is so good. He says, I think this is actually a desirable job. Overall, elite defense, some young, exciting talent on offense, and the 6th pick in the draft. Obviously, it's not pick 1 or 2, but it's still pick 6. Let's not scoff at having the 6th pick. That is still desirable. And as a bonus, a new state-of-the-art dome in about 4 years if you can succeed here. And to kind of circle back to the Deshaun Watson point that has been made, brought up multiple times, and the drama a new head coach would have to face with that, I like Shedeur, and I'm hopeful he can be a long-term answer, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't curious whether or not Deshaun Watson could actually look functional with a competent offense head coach / offensive coordinator. On a recent podcast, it was brought up how, for example, Kubiak has had Darnold looking good. Say anything you want about the Deshaun Watson drama, but be as objective as possible and think about it. It's dramatic, but I'm not convinced that Kevin didn't contribute to the failure. To be honest, what if it just takes a new offensive mind to come in here and boom, he's balling? Think about it. If that is a truth that exists, if Kubiak could come in. Now, Kubiak's not coming. We're not interviewing him. As from the reports I've seen most recently, Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for Seattle Seahawks, has already conducted all the interviews for head coaching jobs that he's going to do. Now, I don't know if that was definitively like I'm done taking interviews altogether, or if it was just I'm done interviewing until after this playoff run. We're trying to go win a Super Bowl. I'm not real sure the finality of that, but the Browns haven't been linked, not even rumored links to Clint Kubiak in any way. So Zach goes on and says, but to finish this point, I feel like this would actually appeal more to an offensive coach. When someone takes anything over, they want their fingerprints on it. They want their identity on it. They want their hands in the mix. Like you said, everyone has an ego. This would be a prime spot for an offensive mind to come and coach Fannin, Judkins, Sampson, Bond, Shedeur, guys with serious potential. Obviously, holes need to be filled, but especially with Haslam saying there will be heavy investment into the offense this year, I think this job is truly poised for an offensive coach to come make his mark. I think it makes the job more exciting, more enticing, and more challenging in a desirable way. If a new guy can come in here, get his hands in the mix, and make the offense formidable, imagine how highly regarded he would be. Yeah, man, we would build you the statue. That's the joke. But I mean, in all seriousness, if a coach can come into Cleveland with the state of this offensive roster the way it is and make them competitive immediately in 2026, I think we would all be tickled to death. Now, to go back to the Deshaun Watson thing, and this plays into my takes on Mike McDaniel coming in here for the Browns. Now, I have no idea how the Mike McDaniel interview went with the Browns. I don't know what was said, obviously, or any of that kind of stuff. But in my mind, whenever I'm just thinking about how things could play out, what if Mike McDaniel came in here with a sales pitch? Because obviously you just got fired as a head coach. You're not looking probably to take a step back and be an offensive coordinator somewhere. If you get an opportunity to just step right into another head coaching job, another opportunity like that, that's probably more desirable. Now, I'm just speculating here. I don't know for sure. That's just my opinion. The sales pitch, what if Mike McDaniel came in here and told Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Berry, I can make Deshaun Watson work. I can make it work with him. Give me this year to show you guys that I can do that. Because if you remember, this is the last year of Deshaun Watson's 5-year contract with the Browns. Now that contract, the cap hit, all that stuff is going to be around for a while. But Watson will be healthy. He will be active. He will be on the active roster, on the active depth chart in 2026. So I don't know. While I was not impressed with Deshaun Watson last year in 2024, there were moments in 2023 where it was like, ooh, okay, the guy can still play quarterback. And it's been very difficult for any quarterback to have success in Kevin Stefanski's offense over the years. Now, obviously, there's a caveat there. They haven't been the highest level of quarterbacks to begin with. I accept that. The only one who really took off in that offense was Joe Flacco, and he's like a 27,000-year-old veteran who's been doing it, who's been in an offense like Kevin Stefanski's forever because it's an older offense. So there's definitely some things there. I don't know, man. Like, Deshaun Watson's here. He's going to be here in 26, and there's going to be the potential that he is playing quarterback for the Browns. I don't think we can lie to ourselves and say that's not going to happen because you can't cut him. Okay, so the last point here from Zach, and then we're finally through this message. I told you guys this was a long one. That's why I've been holding off on it. He says, Josh, you were not enthusiastic about John Gruden in a past episode and said something to the sentiment of not wanting a head coach that has been cycled through, bounced around multiple times. But you were receptive to the idea of Schwartz being looked at for the head coach vacancy on one of the last podcasts. Totally understand if Gruden isn't your guy or even on your radar, just pointing it out. Ha ha ha. Yeah, man, I get what you're saying there. The difference to me, John Gruden, yes, cycled through, bounced around multiple times, hasn't worked out well in the most recent opportunity he was given, and he's not even being floated as an option in this head coaching cycle. This is the most outlier head coaching cycle we've had in years, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, in the comments and everything. I don't believe we have had a head coaching cycle that now we have 9 head coaching vacancies. 9 of them. Because, and I guess I should have said this at the top of the show, another bit of news. You guys all know, it's not news anymore. It happened yesterday, but everybody knows Mike Tomlin just stepped down as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers after 19 seasons. 19 years, almost damn near 2 decades in Pittsburgh. And they will now be looking for a new head coach. 3 out of the 4 AFC North teams are looking for head coaches this cycle. And the only one that's not is the freaking Bengals with Zach Taylor. That goofball somehow managed to keep his job. You got Kevin Stefanski, John Harbaugh, and Mike Tomlin just go, boom, immediately to the top 3 desirable coaches in this cycle immediately. And yet Zach Taylor's still down there coaching in Cincinnati. And I dare you to find me a Bengals fan who's happy about it. I haven't seen one yet. I haven't seen a Bengals fan online who's happy about Zach Taylor and that coaching staff remaining intact in Cincinnati. But to get back to your point here, Zach, to wrap up this thought, the difference to me between John Gruden and Jim Schwartz is a couple things. Jim Schwartz has been a head coach once. He has not been cycled through multiple times in a head coaching role. He's done it once with the Lions. And he is a current active defensive coordinator in the NFL for our current team. That's the difference. He is in the building. He's coaching this team. He's already involved. This is already his team. So we're not going outside higher and bringing this guy into our organization. He's already here. It would be an elevation, a promotion to head coach for him. So that's why I would be more receptive. I'm not saying I want Jim Schwartz to be our head coach, but I would be more receptive to that than trying to go out and hire a guy like John Gruden. And we got, we got tons of other coaching things to talk about, so I'm not going to expound too much here, Zach, about this because I will definitely get into more stuff as we go on. Thank you for the message. Sorry I put it off for so long, but we got to it here today. This episode is sponsored by Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Miami beat Ole Miss? Will Indiana take down Oregon? Which team will win the Super Bowl? And who will be the first pick in the NFL draft? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $20 to anyone who signs up at Kalshi.com/dogs. That's KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, and trade $100. Get away from those disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi.com/dogs or click the link in the description to get $20 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. That's Kalshi, because why shouldn't you get paid for being right? Okay, the next message from the website. And again, if you guys want to get your thoughts and opinions on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu, record your message, listen to it back, make sure you like it, send it in. I play it on the show. We talk about it. Or there's a box there where you can type in a message and just submit it, and I read it. And the next one who did that is Jalen. Says, hey there, first time writing in from Toronto, Canada, another Canadian. He says, big fan of the show. It's great to hear from fellow Browns fans since I still have not met another one here in Canada. Well, I hope you watch the show when Kenny Mack is on here hosting with us, because Kenny Mack, the president of the Ottawa Browns backers up there, he is your guy in Canada. He says, I know you mentioned you're rooting for the Panthers, but who do you think will actually win the Super Bowl, and who do you see representing the AFC and NFC? Now, I read this message, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember when I said I'm rooting for the... Oh, you know what? It just dawned on me. No, I said I was rooting for the Panthers because of the voicemail that we got, or the message we got, whatever it was, from the guy who... I'm having trouble remembering. Went to school with, I think maybe went to high school with Mitchell Evans, the tight end for the Panthers. The rookie tight end out of Notre Dame went to the Panthers. And I said, I'll root for the Panthers because your boy is on that team and everything like that. So that's where that came from. As far as who do I think is going to represent AFC and NFC. Speaking of the Panthers, I know they took them to the brink, but the Rams are still my favorite to win the Super Bowl. I really think that team, while they damn near got beat in the wild card round, I still think they're going to be tough to beat because at the end of the day, they won. They still won that game. I expect these divisional round games to be close, kind of like the first few games were in wild card weekend. And I would say for NFC, I'm still putting my chips in on the Rams. And for the AFC, I mean, I know people keep saying they haven't really played anybody tough, but the Patriots with Mike Vrabel and the way Drake May is playing and that defense, I'm having trouble seeing them get beat. I really am. I don't think the Broncos have what it takes to get to the Super Bowl this year. The Bills would be my probably second. I'd say either the Bills or the Patriots. I can see it working out either way with those teams. I don't think the Texans can make it. CJ Stroud, something's wrong with him, and they're not going to. You don't get to play the Steelers every week. Let's just say that. But anyway, so thanks Jalen for the message, and he says thanks. Go Browns, go Raptors, and go Jays. Woof woof. Okay. Next message here is from Andrew. This is from Andrew in Newcastle, UK. He says, I want to talk about bringing back Devin Bush. While he has played excellently this past season, I think he should move on. Or he says, I think we should move on from him if JOK will be back. My rationale is I think Bush will justifiably ask for a significant pay raise, and I think the money he'd be asking for would be better spent on the O-line or a receiver if JOK is back healthy. I'd be more than happy with him and Schlesinger as our linebackers. I would too. I do not. Again, if I had to bet one side or the other on this, if this was a Kalshi bet and you could just say, will JOK play for the Browns in 2026? Yes or no? I'm taking the no. I'm putting my money on the no side of that and expecting a pretty good payout because while there's hope and optimism and all that kind of stuff for JOK to be able to come in and play again for the Browns, those neck injuries, man, the track record, the history of those severe neck injuries for NFL players, they just don't bode well for the future career, for any extended career for these guys. So I'm hopeful, obviously, that JOK can play. I just don't think it's going to happen. I want Devin Bush back. I do. And he has already said, I think Mary Kay said she spoke with Devin Bush and he said, yeah, I'd like to be back next year. They want to play for Jim Schwartz. These guys want to play for Jim Schwartz. They want to play on this defense. If we can just get this offensive side of the ball fixed, we've got a culture in the making here, I want to say. Yeah, we've really succumbed to this losing thing, but you saw how they ended the season. They came out and they were fighting. They're like, we're not losing to the Steelers. We're not losing to the Bengals. We're doing this. And I'd like to keep as much of that defense intact as possible. So we'll see how things go. Free agency, I mean, here we are halfway through January. We are not too far away from these things. Our last message from the website before I hit up some of your voicemails. This one is from Kane. He says, what's up, dogs? Kane from Dublin, Ireland. Just been doing my own mocks and keep thinking about O-line and wide receiver in the first round or double tap wide receiver in first round. Do you think there is any wide receiver out there that realistically could be traded for? Brandon Ayuk is one that comes to mind, but with his injuries, would he be the wide receiver one we need? And would we even be able to get him salary cap wise? Don't even care, Kane, about the salary cap implications of Brandon Ayuk because I want nothing to do with him. I was really big on the Browns trying to trade for Brandon Ayuk last year, right? Well, I guess 2 years ago now, 2024, before the 49ers gave him that freaking boatload of money that he never played for. And now they voided all of these guaranteed things from him. He wants out of there. They want him out of there. He's dealing with the major injuries. I want nothing to do with it. I am O-U-freaking-T on Brandon Ayuk. So nope. No thank you. As far as any other wide receivers that realistically could be traded for, I know we mentioned A.J. Brown the other day. Not big on him with his contract, his age. He's almost 30. He's having some issues. If you're having issues in Philadelphia with their offense and their quarterback, dude, you're not going to be able to play here. And if you get to a point, or this offense gets to a point where we have what would be really good for you, you're going to be too old to be good anyway. So the guy, and I talked about this the other day with Justin on the Discord show when we did that on Sunday, Brian Thomas Jr. That's a guy that realistically I think the Browns could at least explore a trade for. I'm not saying that the Jaguars would even be interested in moving Brian Thomas Jr., but I am interested in him because they don't seem to have a role with him when Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback. And Trevor Lawrence is their quarterback. Mac Jones isn't even there anymore. And when we saw Brian Thomas Jr. be a dominant, just awesome alpha wide receiver one as a rookie, and only like his, third or fourth year, I think, ever playing wide receiver. Like, he's still very raw at the position. He's still learning, and he put up one of the best rookie statistical seasons ever. And it was with Mac Jones. He wasn't doing jack squat with Trevor Lawrence, and then come this year, and he still didn't. And some people that I've listened to that like to break down the tape and things like that and evaluate these players during the season were very adamant that, listen, this is not a Brian Thomas Jr. problem. This is a Trevor Lawrence BTJ chemistry problem because, and I didn't do this, so I can't speak from personal experience, but the people I listened to that broke down the tape said he's open. He's getting open. It's just they're not on the same page. And I'd be willing to invest in the talent if I were the Browns. That's just me. I really like Brian Thomas. So, and I'm sure if you don't like Brian Thomas, then you'd be like, hey, I ain't wasting draft picks trying to trade for him. Totally get it. But I would, because I like him. All right, let's shift gears, get to some voicemails, and let's just keep on with the wide receiver talk here. And this one is from Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew from Chicago, Illinois. I'm a newer Browns fan. I've been enjoying the podcast a lot. I've been wondering what your thoughts on drafting Cardinal Tate and Jacoby Lane in the first round, and then getting 2 Allmen right after.
All right, Matthew, thank you. So Chicago, Illinois, you're not rooting for the Bears, huh? You're not rooting for the Bears, and they're actually good this year. Interesting. So you're sticking with the Brownies. Appreciate that. Appreciate the dedication, man. Obviously, I love the idea of getting Cardinal Tate. Jacoby Lane, not in the first round. And again, I know I keep saying this, but I've been doing these podcasts every day and everything else that I've been working on, so I still haven't done prospect film reviews and evaluations and things like that. But from what I gather, Jacoby Lane is not your first round type of wide receiver. You're going to get him a little bit later, maybe second, third round in the draft. So no. Now the guys in the first round, and I think I have a couple other voicemails talking about receivers, but I'll just say it here. The guys in the first round that I want as a Browns fan, and this is in no particular order because I am kind of differing my opinion on how I have these guys ranked, but obviously Cardinal Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston, KC Concepcion. Those are the 5 wide receivers in the first round that I'm looking at for the Browns. And if we are double tapping that position, I want 2 of those 5. That's what I want. I want 2 of those 5 if we decide not to go O-line in the first round. And again, this is all predicated. I feel like I say this every show. Might as well hit it again. I anticipate the Browns investing heavily in the O-line and free agency because you can get high-level, quality starting offensive linemen in free agency. You cannot get high-level wide receiver 1 players in free agency. The only thing you get in free agency at the wide receiver position are highly overpaid wide receiver 2s and 3s. That's what you get in free agency at the wide receiver position. So that's why I'm trying to save my premium high-level draft capital for the wide receiver position. It all depends on what we do in free agency, obviously, and trades. If they go and they trade for a Brian Thomas Jr. and they sign a Romeo Doubs, okay, now I'm definitely not hell-bent on using both my first-round picks on wide receivers. So things will change as the moves get made here in the offseason. But Matthew, appreciate your voicemail. Thank you for calling in. This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't need a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You just need your certification to qualify for these jobs. So what are you waiting for? With certification this simple, there's no excuse not to pursue your passion and become a certified personal trainer today. Get $100 off your certification at joinissa.com/dogs. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. That's joinissa.com/dogs for $100 off your personal trainer certification. Let's go to Justin sending 2 voicemails. Let's hear the first one right now.
Podcast. Absolutely love the first 5 picks in your mock draft you did. Love taking the 2 receivers. Also, we got to think about, if Tate does go and kind of do a draft of Tate that, say the Giants or someone else takes Tate a little bit earlier, going with Tyson if that's the case with our first pick. And then who we'd be looking at for our second pick in the first round. I'm also going to look around a little bit and see what other receiver could be a great, receiver from, a big college, not, no Division II college or anything like that, because we know how that goes. But yeah, love the first 5 picks that you went with. That would be glorious if we ended up with that. Go Browns. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, and again, thanks for the voicemail, Justin, but, like I said on that mock draft show, and I'll put another one together here in the next week or so for you guys, my 2.0, but I really need to dive in to these prospects and see. It's tough doing mock drafts right now. Let's just put it that way. It's tough doing mock drafts without knowing what we're trying to do in free agency and trades. That's until the new league year officially starts on March, whatever day it is, and that Tuesday or Wednesday in March. It's really tough. It's just really tough to get any sort of strong opinion on the mock drafts because we're doing it based on how things stand right now. And how things stand right now is not even close to how things will stand when April rolls around. But thank you. If you guys got mock drafts and pick selections that you want me to look at, send them over. I'll look at them. I'd like to talk about some of this stuff on the show if I can, and we'll go from there. You can send it to bark@thedogspodcast.com, and I'll take a look at it. Let's go over to, let's just do Justin's second voicemail here. This one is talking about some coaching stuff.
Just going to keep getting on here, and talking about how I think we should go for John Harbaugh. He has the ability to really do something, great here in Cleveland, and has the ability to really do it. So Harbaugh, if you're out there and you're hearing this, when you're taking into consideration to what team to come to, because you're probably going to have your selection at any of them, I just want you to think to yourself, do you want to go to another team and do kind of what you've done before in the past and, have a nice money that you're making and a good lifestyle, or do you want to come to somewhere and do something great that's never been done before? Because I think if you can do that and you have the ability to do it, you're truly going to be remembered as someone that's great. So if you're out there, Harbaugh, and you hear this, come to Cleveland. I think I speak for the whole fan base out there. We want you here, and we want you here bad. So let's go Browns. Ooh, ooh.
So for me, Justin, everybody out there, the problem with John Harbaugh is this is what, Wednesday of the week that he was supposedly, going to have his plan to take interviews and things like that. I have yet to see, and maybe I've missed it, point it out to me if I have, but I have yet to see a single report even rumoring that the Browns are going to get an interview with John Harbaugh. From what I saw the other day, Diana Rossini said her sources are telling her that the three favorites in the John Harbaugh sweepstakes would be the New York Giants, Atlanta Falcons, and the Tennessee Titans. That's it. Those are the three. Browns weren't mentioned. Browns have not been mentioned. Obviously, we were one of the teams that reached out to his agent in this first hour or whatever after he was fired. We've been keeping touch. We're trying to get an interview until a report comes out that says John Harbaugh has granted an interview to the Cleveland Browns. I have to start, like, I can't hone in on John Harbaugh as the next head coach of the Browns because it's very unlikely, in my opinion, right now. Just like everything else with this show that we talk about, because this is a news cycle type of show, this stuff can change, and it can change rapidly. But at the moment, I'm not looking at John Harbaugh because I don't think it's realistic. I need to look at who I think the right coaching options are for the Browns realistically. And that's why, again, my number one is Grant Udinski, offensive coordinator from the Jaguars. Number two is probably Nate Scheelhaus, pass game coordinator from the Rams. I'm all about getting the next up and coming. Give me somebody who we haven't seen before. Give me somebody who's ready to come in here with some new ideas, some new philosophies, some new angles on the NFL. Because the old ways are dying out. They really are. You look at like the old wave of coaches is gone. Your Mike McCarthy's are no longer around. Now your John Harbaughs are moving. Your Mike Tomlins aren't here anymore. Your Pete Carrolls are gone. It's Sean Payton that is still holding down the fort for that old wave of coaching. And now you just got a whole new wave of these young coordinators, young understaffer guys coming up through the ranks and getting these head coaching positions. Some work, some don't. But, and this is going to lead into my next voicemail, the last one here today. This one's from Kurt, who I'll just play it for you guys because Kurt heavily disagrees with my take on the head coaching position for the Browns.
Hey guys, Kurt from Jersey. Josh, usually I'm in total agreement with you. In fact, that's why I haven't called in a while because you got my opinion covered, man. Usually totally agree with you. But the head coaching search, not so much, dude. I don't think we're in a position to go with an unproven young head coach that, just has no experience. We have way too many issues on our team to do that, especially if you got coaches like Tomlin and Harbaugh available. Like, no, we gotta go that route. We gotta go with someone who has seen these issues, maybe not all these issues, but they've seen these issues, maybe a quarterback issue or a bad wide receiver core or whatever. And we need the experienced coach that could work through all our issues. I think the Ravens and the Steelers, they could probably go with the young, unproven guy, and just come in and get to work and not have to work through all these contracts hanging over our team and, a cap space. We need a proven coach that can come in and work through these issues because they've seen these issues. So, Josh, you're off. You're way off on this one. Sorry, buddy. Love you. Go Browns. Whoop, whoop.
All right, Kurt. Love you too, buddy. And again, I say this all the time, and I'll just keep saying it. Just because I have an opinion one way does not mean I'm right. Obviously, doesn't mean you're wrong for having the other opinion. I think that your conversation there would be much better received by Blake. I think Blake is definitely more on your side of that spectrum, that the Browns really need, this roster really needs an experienced, done it before type head coach. The problem is, I just talked about why, forget about John Harbaugh. Just forget about him. Forget about John Harbaugh until a report comes out that even says he's remotely interested in the Browns, because I haven't seen one yet. And you cannot throw Mike Tomlin's name into any sort of conversation because he's still a coach for the Steelers, technically. he stepped down. He was not fired. He stepped down. So the Pittsburgh Steelers still retain the rights to Mike Tomlin, meaning if Mike Tomlin were to coach again, it would be a team trading for him. So you'd have to give up draft capital to the Pittsburgh Steelers to get him, the way the Broncos had to trade for Sean Payton from the Saints because he didn't get fired. In New Orleans, he stepped down. They still retained his rights contractually. So Mike Tomlin is still part of that Steelers organization. He's still, his contract, I don't want to say him because that sounds weird. His contract is still property of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we can't talk about Tomlin. I don't want to talk about Harbaugh. Who are we talking about then as a proven veteran head coach guy that can come in here and handle these options? Number one, if you think that the Browns have all these terrible issues with the team and these players and the offense sucks and the contracts are terrible to work with and all that kind of stuff, why would a veteran head coach with options want to come here and deal with that? I know you're saying we need that kind of guy who's experienced those issues before, but if he's experienced them before, why the hell would he want to come do it again? You would want to take the Titans job where you've got a good young quarterback, roster with some holes, but you've got pieces to work with. You've got a good, highly, looked upon GM there and draft capital. You want the Falcons job where they've got the pieces. They just need it all put together in the right way. You want the Giants job. Again, they've got the pieces. They've got those pieces. Why are you taking the Browns job then? So this is where I kind of bounce back and forth between this being desirable job, this being an okay job. I don't think it's undesirable. I just think it's not as desirable as some of those other spots, which is why John Harbaugh's not taking an interview with us. But those are the teams he's taking an interview with. So I think you're kind of left with young, up-and-coming coordinator guy, or, in like the Nate Shieldhouse case, the lower on the staff kind of guy. That's the way the NFL is moving. Unless you want to get like a Mike McCarthy in here. The only other option, obviously, is Mike McDaniel. And I'll just be very candid with you guys. While I don't dislike Mike McDaniel, I'm not excited about the idea of him being our next head coach. And I don't really have anything factual to back that up, why I feel that way. Listen, guys, I have been a Browns fan for a long time. And my gut tells me this. And again, I could be way off base, but I just got this bad feeling that if the Browns come out and they announce that they've hired Mike McDaniel as their next head coach, we're going to have a questionable 2026 season where we have some good moments, we have some really ugly moments. And we're wondering, did we make the right hire? Meanwhile, in the 2027 head coaching draft or head coaching cycle, we're going to see names like Grant Udinski be a hot, top of the market name, taking the best interviews, kind of like a Ben Johnson, maybe not to that scale, but similar. Maybe a name like a Nate Shieldhouse, maybe some of these other guys that we're like, well, they're just the coordinators right now. Maybe they need another year or two. I'm telling you guys, if they're going to be a hot name on the head coaching cycle in a year, just hire them now. Just get them in now. I could just see that happening. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I want it to. I'm just saying, as a Browns fan, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I've seen this happen before. We hire a guy because we're like, we're not sure these other guys are quite ready, so we'll just take this guy for now, or take this guy right now. And then after a year, it's like, well, it'd be really nice to get. And then I can hear all the Browns fans right now on social media, we had Grant Udinski in the building for an interview and we didn't hire him. I can just see it happening. We did it with Dan Campbell. We hired Kevin Stefanski instead. We didn't like Dan Campbell's run game, physical, ground and pound mentality when he was in here interviewing for the job. We wanted a more passing happy type of coach. So we went with Kevin Stefanski. Dan Campbell gets hired on in Detroit, and you see how that's gone for them. I got to love this time of season, guys. So, as always, what do you guys think? My opinion is by far nowhere near the end-all, be-all. I want to hear what you guys have to say, what you guys think. Let's just, for the sake of this conversation today and the comments and stuff, just let's take John Harbaugh out of the mix. Let's forget about him. We're not talking about Mike Tomlin either, so let's forget about those two names. Who do you want and who do you think will be the Browns' next head coach? And why? I see a lot of people, I'll post something on social and say, hey, what do you guys think about so-and-so being the next head coach? And I'll get a comment that just says no. Cool. Why? Just tell me why. You got unlimited character space there. Just type it out. Tell me why. I love hearing the reasoning from people, and it just helps me understand where you guys are coming from as well. So that's the head coaching search. The tracker I did yesterday still pretty much stands as today, except for the Jesse Minter head coaching interview scheduled for Friday. If any other news came out while I was recording this, I apologize for missing it, but you guys can head to the Dogs Podcast on Twitter. Go to any social media, really, at the Dogs Podcast. I'm posting everything everywhere, keeping you guys up to date on everything with the Browns as much as I possibly can. And as well as giving some opinions and things and getting your guys' feedback as well. Thank you for your voicemails. Thank you for your messages. Go to thedogspodcast.com, leave voicemail, send in a message, get your thoughts and opinions on the show, and go to jointhedogs.com, become an official member of the Dog Pack community. Get in there, sync up with the private Discord, because we're having these type of conversations 24/7. And Blake's in there all the time talking with everybody. So if you miss having Blake on the show as much as we used to, or I guess I'm just doing more solo episodes now, which is, I guess that's a different thing. But if you want his opinion on some of your thoughts and opinions, you just want to hear what he has to say, get in the Discord, because he's in there all the time talking about this stuff. So that's where his opinions are really coming in strong for everybody in the community. So that's at jointhedogs.com. We'll be doing a Dog Pack Discord live here at some point. We're going to do those every week moving forward into the offseason, all that kind of stuff. We got a lot to talk about here. This head coaching search is interesting. It's heating up. And then it's free agency, and it's draft, and it's what can Andrew Berry do with this roster to improve it. So fun time to be a Browns fan. It truly is, because there's just so much going on. There's never a dull moment. Love to hear from you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's go Brownies.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Miami beat Ole Miss? Will Indiana take down Oregon? Which team will win the Super Bowl? And who will be the first pick in the NFL draft? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $20 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs. That's KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, and trade $100. Get away from those disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to kalshi.com/dogs or click the link in the description to get $20 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. That's Kalshi, because why shouldn't you get paid for being right?